So now it's time to learn about a new type of graph. As you can see here, box and whisker plots, or more commonly called just box plots. It's easy to say. They are essentially another way of representing data, like a histogram you can use to show the frequencies of things. Box plots are used to demonstrate essentially the 5-figure summary. So it's just another graph. This one up here, the 6th grade maths test, you can see, if you remember, minimum, first quartile, median, so the middle score, third quartile and maximum. You see the median score for this maths test was 85, pretty good. The maximum was about, I'm going with about 98 for that one. So you can read the graph, you can see what the scores were. This marker here, the third quartile, 75% were below 93 marks, 93%. 25% were above 93. So that's pretty good. More commonly though, they're used like this one here, vertical, or this one here, horizontal. They're used to compare data. So this one, we'll just use this one because it's easier to read than this one. Company A had a median number of stocks sold, was about 2,700. Company B was better at 3,200 and company C was about 5,250. You can see easily how to compare different things. But before we get into that, let's learn the parts of a box plot. All right, parts of a box plot. Now, this is the most important bit down the bottom here. That is the scale. You have to draw a scale. It has to be done using a ruler. Okay. Yes, you're going to work out the 5-figure summary and all that sort of stuff, but your scale has to be done using a ruler with even spacings. I can't emphasize that enough. Okay. Nice, even spacings. This part here is your minimum value. This part here is your lower quartile, Q1, first quartile, whatever you wish to call it. This bit here is the median. This bit here is the third quartile, or the upper quartile. And of course, when you've got your Q1 and Q3, if you remember back to previous videos in the series, that is called the interquartile range. And lastly, you have up the top end, the maximum value. These bits in here, remember it's sometimes called a box and whisker plot. Yep, they are the whiskers. So you've got your box in the middle, shows you middle 50%, and you have the 2 whiskers out the side here. There is one more bit though, which doesn't appear here at the moment and doesn't appear on a lot of them. Sometimes you'll have a dot up the outside, either up the top or down the bottom. This one up the top here, that's called an outlier, or they're both called outliers. But sometimes it'll be a dot, sometimes it'll be a cross or something like that to represent an outlier. What that is, and we'll talk about these in a minute, we'll show you how to work them out, is any single, it could be 2 or 3 bits of data that are well outside the normal range of data. For example, if you had a class doing a test and the average score was about 35%, pretty bad. And you had all the data except for one below 50%, that's everybody's failed the test but one. But this one person got 90%. That one person is not really representative of the rest of the class. So that person is marked as an outlier, or that person's score is marked as an outlier, I should say. Most of the class is represented in here. Time to start looking at how to build one? Let's go. Constructing. Well, we've got some data just here. 5 through 21. First thing we need to do is we need to find the 5-figure summary. Remember what that is? That's right. It was the minimum, the Q1, the median, third quartile, maximum. So let's look at this data. The minimum score here is obviously 5. So minimum equals 5. The maximum score is the next easy one. 21, write that down there. Just make a list of it. Next easy one is the median score. Now, we did this in the last series of videos on Univariate Stats. The median score, remember the n plus 1 over 2? We've got 19 bits of data. So 19 plus 1 is 20 over 2 gives us our 10th score. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There is our median. Our median is 11. To find the Q1, we find the median of the median, the bottom half. We've got 9 bits of data there. So 9 plus 1 is 10 over 2 is 5th bit of data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our 5th bit of data, which is 7. And our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our 5th bit of data, which is 14. Great. There's our 5-figure summary. So the next thing we need to do is we need to draw our scale and we need to label it. So let's have a look down here. We need to go between 5 and 21. So what we might do, and it's a good idea, this is looking like it would be good to break it up into groups of 5. But we're going to start at 0 to allow a little bit beforehand. And that allows us to go to 25 up top, doesn't it? So all that data fits in nicely. So let's grab our ruler and draw our line straight across. Now we're doing 5 groups. 10's a good spot to stop at because we can do, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's mark those spots. We need to label them. So obviously starting at 0, let's start at 0, then 5, then 10, then 15, 20, 25. Believe me, that is one of the most important points in drawing a box plot. Please always do that first. Figure out your range, what you need to draw between the minimum and maximum, allow a bit either side, and figure out your groups. It might be 5s, it might be 10s, it might be 2s. Might be 1s even if you're really lucky. But figure out your grouping so you can draw a nice easy graph. Right, now let's move that ruler out the way and we will, let's see, we'll mark our 5-figure summary. Let's mark our 5-figure summary. So the minimum is 5. So there's 5. Let's put a dot just under there. Our Q1 is 7. So that's going to be 5 to 10. So that's 5. There's going to be 2 for each one, isn't it? 5, 6, 7 is going to be just there. Our next one is 11. So 10 going there is going to be here. Our next one is 14. So there's 15. Come back one. There's 14. And our maximum is 21. So it's all the way down here, over here. Next bit, we need to create our box. Now it's from the middle 3 marks. So there's our 5. So the middle 3 are in through here. So we're going to draw a box joining those ones, the Q1 and the Q3. The last bit is at our median line and our whiskers. So the median is going to go in the middle here and our whiskers obviously just going to join up. Voila, we have our first box plot. You could get lucky with, you could be given the 5-number summary and you don't have to do this calculation. If you're not, if you're just giving your data, it's not that hard. Right? So remember, 5-figure summary, use a ruler to draw the scale, mark your 5-figure summary. Now, don't have to keep showing the dots. It can just be a little dot. I've used big dots here just to show you where they are. Create your box from the middle 3 marks and then add the extra bits. All right, straightforward. Now I'm going to introduce that last little bit, the outliers. It's only a little bit extra, and I'll go through slightly more detail of an example. So, outliers. Now remember, they're bits of data that are a long way away from the rest of the data. So, what we need to do when we're doing this, we can draw a box plot of some data. First thing we need to do, right, find the 5-figure summary. That hasn't changed. Second thing we need to do, this bit has changed a little bit, is we need to calculate upper and lower fences. Now what that means is we're finding the fences between which our data is allowed to sit And anything outside those fences is going to be an outlier, upper and lower. So here's a little rule. Don't worry about it just yet. Here's a little rule for the upper fence. So it's our Q3 value plus 1.5 times IQR, which we can get straight from our 5-figure summary. And the lower fence is Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. All that information comes from our 5-figure summary. So you can see how important that is. And then, of course, any bit of data outside these fences is considered an outlier. So let's get some data. Here we go. 12, 18, 22, etc., etc., etc. Now, there's a problem with this data. Have you picked up what it is? It's not in order, is it? So we need to put it in order. There we go. 8, 9, 10. I've done it for you. Gone through. You normally mark it off along the way. Make sure you don't miss any. Now you can see quite easily our minimum and maximum values, 8 to 46. But have a look down this end. Now, let's just move it up here. 8 to 46. We can see there's all numbers bunched up down here, but have a look here. 26 to 46. There's a great big gap, isn't there? So we are going to need to calculate to see if I think 46 might be an outlier. So what do? Number one, 5-figure summary. We got minimum first quartile, median third, and maximum. So our minimum score is 8, obviously. Our maximum score is 46. Now, need to find the median. That n plus 1 over 2. There we go. There's 23 bits of data there. So what we do is 23 plus 1 over 2, which is our 12th bit of data. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's our 12th bit of data, which is 18. That's our median. Now we do the Q1. We've got, if that was the 12th, so we've got 11 below it. So the Q1 and Q3, there's 11 bits of data each side. Do the 11 plus 1 over 2, and that's 6th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 13. And the other side, no, that's there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 22. Great, there's our 5-figure summary. Now we're going to calculate the upper and lower fences. Now it's mainly the upper fence we're going to be interested in. So, but we'll do both anyway. If you are asked in year 11 and year 12 to prove outliers, you need to do the upper and the lower fence. So it's just a good habit to get into to do both. Even though we can pretty well assume there's no outliers here and there's possibly one there, do both. Just do both. So the upper fence is Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. Good idea to write it just until you remember it. So our Q3 value is 22 plus 1.5 times the IQR. Now the IQR was Q3 minus Q1, wasn't it? So 22 minus 13. Good idea to do it in brackets like that so you don't muck it up. Type it in your calculator. If you are typing it straight in your calculator, definitely do it in brackets. Otherwise, it'll do 1.5 times 2.2. No, sorry, 22 first. Do it in brackets. This gives us 33.5. Now, 33.5, that's our upper fence. 46 is a lot bigger than 33.5. So we can say that as 46 is greater than 33.5, it is an outlier. Look at the next one, 26. Is that bigger than 33.5? No, it's not. So it's not an outlier. You can, as I said in the first part, you can have 2 or 3 outliers. Anything bigger than 33.5 would be an outlier. So if there was a 42 just up here, that's bigger. So that would be an outlier too. So you'd have 2 dots or X's at the end of the box plot. All right, let's check the lower fence. So Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. So Q1 is 13. So I bring that down, equals 13 minus 1.5 times, again, IQR hasn't changed, 22 minus 13. So that works out to be negative 0.5. Is there anything below negative 0.5? No, there's not. So there are no values less than negative 0.5. Therefore, there are no bottom end outliers. Time to draw. Get our ruler back. Here it is. Now we need to go between 8 and 46. So let's do that in twos, and we can go up to 50. So between 0 and 50 would make a nice scale, wouldn't it? So let's draw our numbers. 0 to 50 and label them. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. All right, let's move her up. Mark our 5-figure summary was the next one. So minimum was 8. So there's 10. This is in ones because that's so 8 goes there. 13, 11, 12, 13 goes there. There it is. Next one is 18, 15, 16, 17, 18 goes there. 22, 21, 2 goes there, and 46, that's all the way over here. So 40, 45, 46 goes up there. Is that our 5-figure summary? Not quite. Remember, we said 46 is an outlier, so we need to mark the next largest value as the end of the whisker. So the next largest number was 26. So let's put that down there. And we're going to put the 26 over here. 46 is an outlier, so it doesn't count in our box plot. It counts as an outlier. So we go to the next one below the fence. That's below the fence. And mark that on there. So this bit in here becomes our box plot. Draw our middle box between this dot and this dot. That's our Q1 and Q3. Draw our median and our whiskers. And again, we have our box plot this time with an outlier. Now let's just have a quick look what that means in terms of the fences. Let's just mark them in there. You don't have to mark them in there normally. Upper fence is 33.5. Lower fence is negative 0.5, which would be down here somewhere. You can see there's no values. Or sorry, it clearly shows that this is outside the upper fence. Don't need to mark them on there. So it's just demonstrating where they are and what you can see from it. Let's pull them off. Now, subtle hint. Not everybody's great at remembering to bring a ruler. Use the lines on your book if you need to. Draw your scale as accurately as possible. How you can get away with it to demonstrate your understanding is if you marked your minimum value as 8, this Q1 was 13, this median was 18, this Q3 was 22, and this number here at the top of the whisker, it's not 46, it's 26. Mark what they are and mark the outlier at 46. Right, just a good idea. Just put the numbers up here, just above it. Okay. Summary. Let's round it all up. So, first thing we do, find the 5-figure summary. Second thing, you check for outliers by finding the upper and lower fences. That means the upper fence is Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. Lower fence, Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. Any values that are outside these fences is considered an outlier, either above it or below it. Fourth thing, I should have bolded that, highlighted it. Use a ruler to draw the scale. I can't say it any more clearly than that. Plot the 5-figure summary and any outliers. And join the dots of your box plot. Straightforward. Last bit, and again, when you get to VCE, this is in further maths, the most important one, discuss any observations. So we're talking about shape, center, spread, and any outliers in your data. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? But again, in VCE, there's a bit involved in doing that. As I said before, don't panic. In VCE, the CAS calculator or the ClassPad, believe it or not, will just do a box plot for you. It'll even label a 5-figure summary for you. It'll label the outliers. So that's something to look forward to. But for now, again, walk before you run. Let's get into drawing some box plots. Good luck.